So for Mortis, obviously you should be playing Mortis in Brawl Ball. Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're actually taking a look at the best mode to push and play every single brawler inside of Brawl Stars in. But before we get into the video, I wanted to say a big thanks for 60k subscribers, and if you're not subbed, make sure to subscribe using the link down below or just click the sub button. But anyway, let's get right into the video. Okay then, so starting off with Shelly, the best game mode by far to push Shelly in, the auto-aim goddess, has to be Brawl Ball. Like, Shelly is just not very good in any mode really apart from Brawl Ball, but yeah, Brawl Ball is going to be the best mode for Shelly. So moving into Nita then, Nita is actually really good in free mode, so Nita is okay in gem grab and then very good in both Brawl Ball and heist, but I just think Nita is slightly better in heist, so I'd recommend using Nita mainly in heist. Now moving into Colt, so Colt is actually fairly decent in both Brawl Ball and Siege, but Colt is best at heist, just where you can start like unloading the gadget and just absolutely melt the safe. Okay, so moving into Bull. Now Bull is actually one of the worst brawlers in the game right now. The only mode where Bull is actually okay is going to be heist, so definitely make sure you're using Bull in heist. Okay, so the same thing with Jessie. Jessie has to be one of the worst brawlers in the game right now, but Jessie is kind of only good in gem grab or Brawl Ball, but she isn't really even good there. She's like okay at best, so I said like Brawl Ball in the end, but really there's not too much difference between playing Jessie in Brawl Ball or gem grab. Okay, so moving into Brock. Now Brock is actually really good in the meta right now, so you can definitely use Brock on a lot of gem grab maps, a lot of Brawl Ball maps, a lot of Siege maps, but I do believe that Brock's best mode is still going to be Bounty, just because of like the snipers and how they work in Bounty. Okay, so for Dynamike, I actually recommend playing Dynamike in heist, but you can definitely play Dynamike in siege as well. Even though Dynamike's just not very good in the meta, he's still pretty decent in heist. You can get on the safe and deal a decent amount of damage. Okay, so Bo is actually okay in siege and very OP on Snake Prairie, which is a bounty map, but apart from that, Bo's best mode is going to be gem grab. Okay, so Tick's only mode and best mode by far is going to be bounty, so only play Tick in bounty. 8-bit is actually one of the worst brawlers in the game at the moment, but I do recommend using 8-bit in heist because you can definitely get some value out of that damage turret and also the high damage that 8-bit does have. Okay, so for Ems is actually one of the best brawlers in the game right now. You can definitely play Ems in any mode pretty much apart from bounty, but Ems best mode for me is going to be Brawl Ball. Okay, so moving into Primo. Now Primo is pretty much the CR7 of Brawl Stars, so you're definitely going to want to use Primo in Brawl Ball. Okay, so moving on to Barley. Now Barley is actually okay in Brawl Ball and heist, but Barley's best mode is going to be Siege, just because Barley has such high damage and control. So yeah, Barley is just going to be so good in Siege. Okay, so Poco is actually very good when used with 2 tanks in Bounty, Brawl Ball and Gem Grab, but I feel like Brawl Ball is just the best mode for Poco because there's a lot of tanks which are very good in Brawl Ball and you can definitely heal them up. And yeah, it's just pretty good for Poco in general. Okay, so Rosa is actually pretty good in every single mode, but I definitely recommend using Rosa in the maps with the most grass, and that's just going to help you get as much value out of her as possible. But at the moment, I'd say the gem grab maps have a lot of grass, so definitely try and use Rosa in those maps. Okay, so Rico is actually very good in Brawl Ball, but I'd say Rico's best mode by far has to be heist because there's just so many good maps with like amazing wall bounces for Rico in heist, so definitely make sure to use Rico in heist. Okay, so moving into Darryl. Now Darryl is actually very good at quite a few modes, so Darryl is pretty good at both Siege and Brawl Ball, but I feel like Darryl's best mode is heist just because of that rolling reload star power. Like when you get on the safe, you can just do so much damage, so yeah, I definitely recommend using Darryl in heist. Okay, so moving into Penny then. So for Penny is okay on both Siege and Bounty, but I feel like gem grab is Penny's best mode just because this mode is probably the most important mode for control, and as soon as you get that turret down, you can get a lot of control on the map, so yeah, definitely recommend using Penny in gem grab. Okay then, so for Carl is like one of the worst brawlers in the game right now, but if you are going to push Carl, then definitely push him in gem grab. So for Jackie, I recommend using Jackie in one of these modes, so either Siege, Bounty, Gem Grab or Brawl Ball, because Jackie is very strong in all those modes. But if I had to pick a best mode, I would say Brawl Ball, just because you can tank so many shots with that star power, and yeah, you can definitely score goals that most other brawlers can't score. Okay, so moving into the epic brawlers then. So for Piper's actually very good on those long range Brawl Ball, and Gem Grab maps. But overall, Piper's going to want to be used in Bounty just because there's a lot of long range maps and Piper is just good in Bounty in general. Pretty much Piper is the queen of Bounty. Okay, so moving into Pam then. So for Pam, I recommend using her in Siege just because they added a lot of long range Siege maps which are very good for Pam. But if there aren't any like long range Siege maps, then probably like some long range Gem Grab maps or Brawl Ball maps will also be good for pushing Pam. Okay then, so for Frank, I recommend pushing Frank in either Siege or Brawl Ball, but I do think Brawl Ball is probably going to be the better mode overall. So BB is actually okay in Brawl Ball, but BB is actually very strong in Heist and Siege. But I would recommend pushing BB in Siege just because like those bolts are so important and you can get so many bolts with BB just because of her speed. So yeah, definitely play BB in Siege. Okay, so for B, I actually recommend using B in Brawl Ball, but definitely use B on those longer range maps. In Bounty, Siege, and Gem Grab and Brawl Ball. So use B on those long range maps in any of those modes. But overall, I think the B is going to be better on Brawl Ball just because there is more tanks. Okay, so moving into the newest brawler, Nani then. So for Nani, I actually recommend pushing her on Gem Grab maps or just any long range maps in general. But usually Nani is going to be pretty good on Gem Grab maps. Okay, so for Mortis, obviously you should be playing Mortis in Brawl Ball. No, just don't play Mortis in Brawl Ball. It's Mortis's worst mode. Mortis is actually very good in Gem Grab, but really good in Bounty. So definitely make sure you're pushing Mortis in Bounty and not in Brawl Ball. Okay, so Tara is actually very bad in the meta right now, but Tara can be used pretty decently in Gem Grab, but overall you're going to want to use Tara in Brawl Ball because that is her best mode. So for Jean is actually so good in so many different modes that it was pretty hard to pick like a best mode. Jean is so good in Siege, so good in Bounty, so good in like Gem Grab and Brawl Ball, but I thought overall just because of the ability that Jean has to like pull the gem carry and win the game for you, I picked Jean's best mode as Gem Grab. So for Max is actually pretty decent in Brawl Ball, but overall I would recommend using Max in Heist just because you can get a lot of value on the enemy safe because you reload so quickly. Okay, so Mr. P is actually decent in Siege, Bounty, and Brawl Ball, but I would recommend using Mr. P mainly in Gem Grab. Okay, so for Sprout, I actually recommend pushing Sprout in any mode in the game because Sprout is so broken right now. But when Sprout does get enough, I still feel like Sprout will still be decent in Brawl Ball. So yeah, you can pretty much push Sprout in any mode at the moment. But when Sprout gets nerfed, push him in Brawl Ball. So one of my favorite brawlers in the game, Spike, is actually pretty decent in Heist. Actually very good in Heist because as soon as you get on the safe, you can do so much damage. But right now, I think Brawl Ball is Spike's best mode just because there is so many tanks and you can get so much value with Spike. So Crow is not actually very good in any 3v3 modes at all, but I had to pick one, so I picked Brawl Ball just because you can get some value with your jump and you can definitely score some nice goals. So the same thing with Leon really. Leon is so bad in every 3v3 mode, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick Gem Grab just because you can go in Viz and sometimes take out their gem carrier and like win the game for your team. Okay, so for Sandy, I recommend pushing Sandy in Siege, Gem Grab, or Brawl Ball, but overall I think Brawl Ball is the best mode to push Sandy. Okay, so moving into the final brawler, Gale then. So for Gale, I think that Gale can definitely be pretty decent when you can jump in on high, so that's what I'm going to recommend you use Gale in, but still don't really have much idea about this just because Gale has not been out for that long. Okay guys, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to like the video and also comment down below if you have any questions for me. But apart from that, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.